The birth of the Supreme God Merged Zamasu was the cliffhanger for Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 22, and at long last, a month later, we have Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 23, as our heroes Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and Mai have to face off against the seemingly invincible Merged Zamasu. And now with this new Potara fused perfect body, can anybody match up to Merged Zamasu? Well, the first part of this manga chapter is pretty much Merged Zamasu showing off his newfound limitless power and his speed, quickly zooming through Goku and Vegeta before they could even notice. And even though fusing to make Vegito would be a pretty smart idea, they decide to take on Zamasu one-on-one first. Vegeta goes in and lunges in for an attack, but no water in the pool. Zamasu's just way too fast. Now, Goku himself has a hand at it, but he also can't connect with Zamasu, so he decides, instead of going for a physical attack, that he would do a long-range attack and fires a Kamehameha, which manages to successfully put a hole through Merged Zamasu's chest. So Goku's Kamehameha, just like how in the anime version, was actually pretty damn strong enough to have that beam struggle with Zamasu. In this version, he actually rips a hole through Zamasu's chest, but of course, thanks to the Super Dragon Balls, that hole would not be there for very long. And naturally, once the ever egotistical and overconfident Zamasu realizes that he's pretty much going to be impossible to kill, he starts to remark and scream about how he is the only god that matters, he's the only god necessary for this entire multiverse. And he does this while releasing a number of ki blasts aimed at our heroes, but Goku manages to get in the way and protect them. Then the Supreme Kai shows up and says, "Hey, I think you guys need to quit screwing around and fuse right away." But the stubbornness of Vegeta perks back up again, and he wants to win by himself without fusing. It's like the same thing over and over again with Vegeta fusing with Goku. He just doesn't want to, but at least they're being consistent with his character. Goku decides to unleash full power SS Blue and try to take on Merged Zamasu by himself, but again was frustrated by failure. Now in the anime version, Merged Zamasu had a number of, I guess you can call them, divinely powerful and evil techniques that he would use, but in the manga version, Toyotaro changed it up a little bit, and instead he can create these giant bricks, these giant blocks of Kachin metal, which of course, if you remember, is the same alloy that was used to break the Z sword way back in the Buu arc. I love this because it's a cool little throwback that I was not expecting, and it makes sense that the Supreme Kais know how to do this and create this metal and create these bricks out of nowhere. We've seen them do it, and now we see it again. Now, one thing I think that Toyotaro should have incorporated into the manga is Goku and Vegeta teaming up against Merged Zamasu. They want to take him on one-on-one, and I understand them not wanting to fuse, but why don't they just go 2-on-1 against him? We saw it in the anime. Every time Goku and Vegeta team up, it's always a pretty cool thing. We even saw Trunks get involved with that epic father-son Gallic gun that was in the anime. None of that is here, and I think that's a little bit, I guess, strange, because I do think that Goku and Vegeta would team up and try everything in their power to beat this guy without having to fuse. Fusion, of course, being the last resort. Oh, and also I should mention that Merged Zamasu tells Goku and Vegeta not to choke on their aspirations. That's right, he does a force choke on both of them. I thought that was a fantastic panel, and me being a Star Wars fan, I had a huge smile on my face. But he takes it to a new level because he force chokes them and then throws them into a giant crater. So I don't know if Vader can do that. I think he can, but Vader can't really screw around with Merged Zamasu, you know what I'm saying? So Goku's getting trashed around, and Vegeta finally decides, well, we have to fuse, we can't beat him otherwise. And the way that Vegito is formed in this version was, I think, a little bit cooler. Merged Zamasu is about to fire a blast at a building that Goku and Vegeta are in, and all of a sudden a blast comes up out of nowhere from the building and actually rips half of Merged Zamasu's body completely off. If you want to talk about violence, we talked about it last month when we saw that bloody ass Gowasu puking up blood. Toyotaro is not afraid to make his manga extremely more gory than the anime, and this right here is a good example of it. And as many people have pointed out, this scene is without question a throwback to Vegeta doing the final flash on Cell and ripping off half of his body way back when. And much like Cell, Zamasu regenerates. And as expected, the being responsible for this is the strongest mortal in history, Vegito. And without wasting very much time, Vegito immediately transforms into Blue and refers to himself as Blue Vegito. So unfortunately, no red Vegito in the manga. I know some of us were thinking they might do that. Vegito goes right to blue and is ready to kick a lot of rear end. And boy does he ever. Vegito in the next few panels proceeds to give Zamasu a whipping like he's never received before in his life. I mean, he is beating the crap out of this guy. And even though in the anime version, the fight was a lot more, I guess you can say, even, Vegito was actually challenged. Not in this version. Vegito is literally toying with Merged Zamasu, very much like he did Majin Buu. But this is almost unreal. Like, the power of Vegito and Blue combined is way too much for Zamasu in this version. And if you want to talk about gore, and if you want to talk about Star Wars, this is crazy. So Zamasu tries to grab Vegito from underground, and Vegito uses his spirit sword move to slice off Zamasu's hands, just like how Anakin cut off Dooku's hands in Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Was Toyotaro watching Star Wars this month? Like, there's too many throwbacks to Star Wars and too many homages in this chapter for me to think otherwise. And of course, Vegito, being the smug guy that he is, cuts off his hands and he's like, hey, you forgot your hands. This is nuts. Like, we never saw any of this in the anime, and this shot right here of this happening, to me, makes this manga chapter fantastic. Just this one shot makes it worth reading without question. So Zamasu regenerates, but is becoming increasingly frustrated at the fact that he cannot do anything to Vegito. Vegito's just totally dominating him, so he creates a giant brick of Kachin steel one more time, and Vegito prepares to launch the final Kamehameha. I'm very happy they put this in the manga as well. And then the stakes get upped even higher when there are several bricks of Kachin being created, to the point where Supreme Kai sees this and sees the power coming from Vegito and actually believes that Vegito may be able to beat Beerus. This was a debate for quite some time in our fandom about whether or not he could do it. Now Supreme Kai is thinking it's possible. Is this a teaser for Vegito coming in the future to fight Beerus? Is the Supreme Kai just way too excited? Well, unfortunately, he sort of was, because right as Vegito's about to fire this technique, the defusion happens, the time runs out. So the Potara limitations from the anime have indeed carried over to the manga. And thus, our big cliffhanger for this manga chapter is that just as the defusion happens, the Kachin steel blocks are flying at Goku and Vegeta. It does appear like they hit them, we see a giant explosion, and we are left to believe that Goku and Vegeta are indeed finished as the manga chapter comes to a close. So next month, we're going to find out whether or not Goku and Vegeta survived. Hint, hint, they did. And we're going to see how in the hell they're going to defeat Merged Zamasu. Hint, hint, it's probably something similar to what happened in the anime version way back in Dragon Ball Super episodes 66 and 67. So this manga chapter is pretty much like a retelling of episodes 65, 66, and 67. And honestly, there are some things that Toyotaro did right in the manga that I thought were cooler than the anime. For example, the fact that he can get much more gory, like with limbs being cut off and things like that. We didn't see that too much in the anime because the Dragon Ball Super anime is much more toned down than Z was, for various reasons, mostly because the Japanese government has changed their stance on cartoon violence. So Super's just not going to be as violent as Z was. You know, different era, that's just how it is. But Toyotaro can stretch his legs out and do uber violent stuff like this. So that was cool. That was cool to see. And I think Vegito being more dominant in the manga, I thought was also very, very cool. However, the anime version has, again, you can't really compare them, but they have those great animators working on this episode and just a great, great epic moment. So I liked this manga chapter. I really did. I thought it was dumb that Goku and Vegeta didn't team up a little bit more. And I was surprised we didn't see a red Vegito because, you know, more toys. But it was still fun to read. I had a good time reading it. Mostly action this month, and I'm wondering how they're going to end this thing because I'm guessing next month will be the end. And anime-wise, we're way past this arc. So, Toyotaro, wrap it up, brother, and let's get to Universe Survival. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so very much for watching this review. Let's get that discussion going. And if you are new to Geekdom 101, I cover Dragon Ball, Star Wars, and movies. Punch that subscribe button, hit the like, and let's talk about it. Have a great day. Talk to you guys later.